and welcome to Cooking with the Loneliest Interpreter. Today we will be making an old settler standard butter. Now, why butter? Well, because for any smart settler, one of the first things they'd want to do is to get a cow or some chicken, something that would provide food that they could help live off of and maybe trade with neighbors in exchange for other goods that they weren't making. And so if you had a cow, you'd get a lot of milk. And while yes, a good family can drink a lot of milk, it didn't keep very long because often there wasn't really good refrigeration. And so they'd want to make other products out of that milk, such as cheese or buttermilk, sour cream, cottage cheese. There's lots of options. And so butter was pretty much the standard. You use it all the time. You use it for cooking. You put it on food. You mix it into food for baking. So we're going to make butter. Now, butter only takes a few items. You just need some cream, and that's the rich, creamy stuff which floats to the top of milk after it's been, after a cow's been milked. You have a big pail of milk. You set it down on the counter, and by the next morning, it'll have separated. The cream will have risen to the top, and you scoop that off, and you use that for making butter. And then the thinner stuff at the bottom you can drink. The other thing you'll need is a jar with a lid on it. Now we're using that instead of a butter maker. Now, a butter maker is a contraption. Well, here's a really fancy one. Is a contraption with some paddles inside it and a handle, and it can spin and spin the paddles inside, and that agitates the cream. It mixes it and adds water in there and sort of froths it up a little bit. We're just going to use a jar with a lid on it. Have some water to clean off the butter afterwards, and a couple jars to pour the extra buttermilk into and the butter into. So you don't need very much. Oh yeah, that and a fair bit of effort. You need some arm power involved in this. And the reason I'm actually doing this method of butter making is because it takes less time than one of these. Using one of these, it takes about 20 minutes sitting at the table, churning away, but you can make a lot more butter with one of these. We're just going to make a small amount of butter in a mason jar. So to start off, we'll get our jar. We will get our whipping cream. Whipping cream has about 35% milk fat. Fat. And that's what we want to get out of there. We want to get that fat out of there, and we want to spread it on our toast and on our bread. And how we're going to agitate it is just, that's it. Now this takes about 5 minutes in total, so we'll probably fast forward because you don't really want to watch me shaking this for 5 minutes. I know, right? So you can hear it sloshing it around, right? We poured it in here as a liquid. Now this is a lot better to do if you've got a bunch of people to help you out. And it's not just one person shaking a jar. Did you hear that? That's right. You don't hear anything. That's because we have turned that liquid into whipping cream. Look at that. It is solid. So we've turned that liquid into a solid. Now here's the crazy part. We're going to keep doing this for a little more. Yeah, I know, I told you it's a little bit of a workout. And suddenly this is going to separate into the fat and the liquid. So bear with me. Here we go again. There we go. Did you hear that? Now we have sound again. So we started off with sound sloshing back and forth. Then it went silent when we had the whipped cream and it became a solid, and now it's separated. And the fat, here we go. Let's just, I'm going to pour off the milk. Now this would be called buttermilk. Nowadays what we get is sort of a sweetened buttermilk. or not, sorry, a soured buttermilk. Often if you let your milk sit out overnight or a day or two so you can get the cream, it might already sour a little bit, so it'll get a bit of a sour taste. But you can use this for cooking, you can drink it. It still has uses, so you're not going to throw that out. Meanwhile, in here we have the butter. Now we're going to try to get a little bit more of that buttermilk off of there. Just shake it up a few more times. Oh yeah, nice, nice. More buttermilk's come off of it. That's a lot of fat in that whipping cream, isn't it? Because there's not much liquid coming out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pour a little bit of water in just to kind of clean it a bit. Because who doesn't want clean butter? And pour off that water. Humor me, I'm going to give it just one last little shake. Get the last of that water off of there. And we should have a nice little, just going to pour that water off. And so, at the end, we should have this nice little ball of butter. Look at that. Perfect. You can add salt to it, or you can have it like that. You can have it on toast. You can cook it, mix it into your flour and your baking powder, and you can make biscuits. Or you could have it on your biscuits as long as you use the right ingredients in your biscuits. So there we go. Butter. All it takes is some whipped cream, bit of effort, a jar with a lid, and maybe a little bit of water to clean it up. After this, you can put it into a butter press and make it into a beautiful shape to show off to your guests, or you can just slop it on your freshly baked bread. And so, that's the first recipe, cooking with the Loneliest Interpreter. Enjoy.